What if I told you that standardized testing is a lot more important than you may realize? That standardized tests ultimately decide who goes to UVA and who goes to Nova. They accurately show how much you have learned and are given around the country as a common denominator for what high school students should have learned. Standardized tests are a necessary evil that many people do not realize or are important to their futures. They decide which school accepts you and which school puts you on their waitlist or reject your application. Most people think that schools acquire nothing from seeing your test score because it's hard to remember things you learned 5 years ago, or the test is so stressful that you forget some things. However, it gives a college a great reference to how the student will be able to perform and be successful at their school. Without standardized tests, students who take easy non-honors classes and enjoy a 4.0 GPA where not much work is required to pass would have better chances to be accepted into more difficult schools than those who take AP or honors courses and do not have as high of GPAs. Standardized tests are once again a necessary evil because they help distinguish one student's knowledge from another and are a common knowledge test.
Yes.
It's important to really differentiate the difference between the good students and the bad students who just have high GPAs because they kind of brown nose their teacher.
I think it's necessary to evaluate.
The school system we are in is a very difficult school system, and that schools in the South have an easier school system, so they can have a better grade point average than us, but it's important to have standardized testing that show who is actually the smarter kids.
Gibson. I used to go to schools in Louisiana, and when I moved up here, I realized that schools in the north, in Virginia, are a lot harder than they are in Louisiana. For example, some of the more intriguing classes up here are you have the chance to take APs. In Louisiana, they don't have APs, it's strictly just honors courses. And even honors courses that I took in Louisiana are not as hard as some of the regular classes up here.
Woodson definitely would help me do better on the SAT or ACT because a lot of the information that is taught in schools here is tested in the SAT or ACT. Whereas in Australia, the curriculum doesn't follow the same schedule and we don't learn the same things, which would help me excel on the tests.
It challenges students to know basic sort of content of information. In terms of preparing students, whether it's for the AP or the SOL, sometimes you feel limited because some teachers say, well, they only teach to the test. I teach to it and beyond it. I like to bring in additional information, but some of the best way for students to become more proficient is to just take lots of practice tests. So it's both the content that they have to know, but it's also the process of taking a test and answering standardized questions that I think really can help them improve.
There are a lot of people in this world that have no idea what's going on with anything. And so just giving people the basic knowledge and proving, yes, I learned how to read, yes, I know how to write something cohesive, yes, I know how to do basic math problems, will benefit society because you're not going to send ill-prepared people into the world. And with how crazy the world is getting, we need people to be as well-rounded as possible. And if they can do the basics, then they will at least be contributing to society. society instead of doing nothing in the world.
Different schools teach differently. If I'm teaching a class and I'm just so excited to have a student even show up, that student might get an A just for showing up in my class. And so if you have a student that's getting A's primarily for attendance, that poor child would not be ready for college. And the standardized testing would show that. That is the idea behind standardized testing, so that people that are in different educational environments can see how they stack up to everybody else.
The county.
Well, my understanding is that SOLs were set up for the state of Virginia as part of, whenever they came up with federal laws to make sure that every child would get an equal educational opportunity. So the state was going to set up standards of learning so to make sure that every student who took a particular course was going to be measured by their knowledge of essential learnings in that course. And it was a dual purpose. I think the purpose is for the student to make sure that they know they took a course and they learned what they need to know in that course. And also to hold teachers accountable. Because I don't know if you ever heard the stories, but if you talk to your parents when we were growing up, you might be taking U.S. history and the teacher just loved, one particular president. And so like your whole course would be, or 80% of the course would be, you'd be learning about that president, and then for the final exam we're going to cram in the rest of history that we didn't cover. And that was not uncommon.
So I would say just know that you've been preparing all year for your SOLs, and if you have any questions, to talk to your teacher. Make sure you get lots of sleep and eat breakfast before any standardized testing, so the SOL or the SAT. And then I would also think about things that make you happy when you start your day. So for example, I like to start my day with a workout because I feel like that puts me in a good mood and ready for the day ahead. So if there's something that you like to do, like listening to music or walking your dog, I would encourage you to do that so that you are starting your day the best way possible.
In conclusion, standardized tests are necessary to help place students into the fitting college by creating a test that shows true knowledge. They help colleges distinguish between a student who has a 4.0 GPA but has never taken an honors course in his life and a student with a 3.7 GPA who has never taken a standard class, which can also give a school a baseline of how successful you will be at their school. So don't worry that because of your GPA you won't get into your dream school. Just know that standardized tests are here to save you. Just relax and show the College Board what you got.